speaker is from my favorite newspaper of all time, the Detroit Free Press, because they report on my favorite topic of all time, the Detroit Tigers, and the New England Red Wings. But you know, this guy gets drank out of the Stanley Cup in Darren McCarty's house. So like, what else can I say? I mean, come on, you know. But he's an awesome dude. You know, I grew up just loving the Free Press, and really like, I was turned on to photojournalism by the news and the Free Press photographers, and one of the longtime brokers who, you know, left the paper when a lot of people did in the 90s, George Waldman, really pushed me to Columbia, and you know, really inspired me to shoot pictures. And I met a lot of these guys growing up in Detroit as a teenager, and I would go, you know, like Pablo Monsiváis, who you saw last night. You know, I ran into him covering a Jeff Feiger thing, and he was so helpful to me because I, you know, 19 years old, didn't know what I was doing. But like, that is the kind of community that they had in Detroit, and you know, that is the kind of thing that I want to bring here. And you know, you guys are just doing so much good stuff with video and stills. And 2 years ago we had Ken and Ken, who showed a bunch of awesome projects. And I think we're going to see a lot of that from Eric. And afterwards, we are going to raffle off a GoPro Hero 3. He's going to hold it up. It's got a 32 gigabyte card in it. It's like a $400 value. Okay. We're going to raffle it off. Tickets are $5 a piece, and it benefits the scholarship fund, the Chuck Cass and the John H. White Scholarship Fund, which is one giant pool of money. And this year, I think we're going to give out $1,800 in scholarship money to students.
Nice.
So, when he ran it, they started the scholarship, and the first recipient was myself, and it was $25. I drank really good that night. It was a case of Old Style. It was 2 cases of Old Style because it was $8.99 a jewel. But from $25 in, you know, the early turn of the century to $1,800 is like amazing, and it's because of our community here that has really stepped up. And you know, I don't know if they rob people and give us their cash. I don't really know where it comes from. It's probably laundered drug money, like, you know, it's fine. But we're selling those tickets. We're going to raffle it off as soon as he's done. There's only a couple. Your odds are really good. And whoever wins it has to put the GoPro in the bottom of a cooler beer and chug it and get video of that. That is a requirement. So you better be able to chug a food full of beer. Or that's a beer and alcohol. So, I run out of jokes. Eric Seals. Yes, raffle tickets you can't put on the credit card.
Can or can't?
Can.
Can you raffle it off right when he's done, or can we go off and throw in our
I think
$5?
tomorrow you're going to drum up as much money as you can, right?
Hey, stop. I can. You're running out of questions.
You know how those I guess it's okay. Oh, no. You guys can see it pretty good?
Yeah, I actually
Oh, this is a little too close. I'm going to jump in.
Do it. I like leaning back.
I know.
Okay, so
Front row is like a...
the first thing I want to say is I'm really honored and appreciative that Rob and everyone else from IPPA thought to invite me to come here to judge with some amazing judges in Nicole and Preston, and to come speak and show some work. So thank you for that. So this will give you just a little quick history about me. I knew in 10th grade that I wanted to be a photographer. And even before then, I always loved the news. I loved watching local news, national news, reading the Free Press, reading the news. And so by 11th grade, I got sick of watching the news, and I really wanted to experience it and see it for myself. When I saw a great picture of a Detroit Lions play at the Silver Oak in Pontiac, I didn't want to see it, I wanted to be there on the sidelines and feel it. So I learned to put together photo and journalism, and the Free Press is a paper that I wanted to work at since 10th grade. So I really was determined and passionate and focused to work there. I went to school at University of Missouri, which is a really good journalism school, and I started working at the Free Press in 1999. So I'm just going to start with my presentation. So I'm a photojournalist, but I'm also a video journalist, and I started doing video in 2008. So let me roll into this, and we'll go. Okay. Here we go. All right. What's the best picture you've taken? It's a question that we all get from time to time. But what's your answer? What made it the best picture for you? Was it because of the reaction the picture received, the awards that won you, or was it something else? For me, that answers this picture that I shot way back in 1996. And yeah, that's 17 years ago, which is a long time. But there's 2 points to this. The first point is that I really suck at taking pictures, and I don't know why the hell I was invited here to speak and judge. Or 2, that the feeling of discovery, of being in the moment, and the energy and the passion and the emotion that I felt when I saw this guy out of the corner of my eye, and rushing up to him and taking his portrait, it was something that was special to me then, and it's special to me now, and it's something that I'm always chasing and searching for, those feelings and those emotions as a photo and video journalist at the Detroit Free Press. And I hope at the end of this presentation today, you guys don't think it's that first point. The search for these feelings really applies when it comes to video storytelling. Like I said, I've been doing this since May of 2008, and it's been a real uphill battle for me of crafting the story, working with different kinds of video gear, all the whole editing process in Final Cut Pro. And I always feel like I'm on base camp of a very tall storytelling mountain. But I'm always challenging myself to climb that mountain step by step. So for some of you guys in this room, whether you're in college or you're a professional, being handed a video camera, even if it's an iPhone or a Canon or a Nikon or whatever, it's way out of your comfort zone. But if you feel that way, I want to tell you that you're so wrong. It's all about your attitude, and it should always be a total Zen experience, because it's a real awesome journey of discovery and storytelling. And remember, all of us in this room, we're all about being witnesses to history or to what's going on in your community or around the country. And with video, you're telling stories like you would with your stills, you're just doing it in a different way. And remember, this is why we got into the profession in the first place, is to tell these stories. So if you're in the seats today and this is you, what I'm telling you is get out of your comfort zone and really challenge yourself. So these are the 4 things I'm going to talk about. But the bulk of my presentation is the very top one, strength of story. Because it's so damn important. You can have all the great camera gear, the gadgets, the software, all that stuff. You can have all that and produce a video. But without a solid story, no one's going to watch your video. I watch TED Talks a lot on YouTube, and I absolutely enjoy them. I get a lot out of them. And there's one talk by Andrew Stanton, who was a writer and director for Toy Story and Finding Nemo. He had this really good quote that really stuck with me. Storytelling is joke telling. It's knowing your punchline and your ending. It's knowing that everything you say, from that very first sentence to the last, is leading to a singular goal. And to me, that goal is the strength of your story will make your video worth watching. Now, I've learned since doing this in May of 2008 that there are 3 things that you need to make your story strong. You have to make a promise to the viewer, you have to make it focused for them, and also you have to make them care. So this is the first one, make a promise or else. So how do you make this promise? Or what is that promise? That you want to tell them that it's worth their time to watch it, and that you also want them to know that they're going to take something away from it. They're going to learn something. And the hardest part is living up to this promise. Make sure that you deliver on it. So how do you deliver on this promise? Well, it's really important to start off with strong visuals to hook them, a real compelling story to reel them in, and an evolving edit to keep them. Make it so that the viewer tunes out everything else around them but the story in front of them on their computer or on the TV, however they're watching it. It's challenging and hard, but the viewers move by it and shares it with other people, then you've delivered on that promise. So the first piece we're going to show is about Marcus Bugs. I worked on this project last year, a long project on Marcus, and I made a promise to the viewers of the Free Press website and in the paper, that not only would they end up caring about Marcus through the 4 videos that I did in 2012, but at the end of every piece, they would be literally rooting for Marcus and waiting for the next installment that we would do, wanting to know more about Marcus and his journey. So this is the first video that kicked off the series.
I recently turned 18, but I've been a man since I was 9. Seeing your dad murdered makes you do it real quick. Growing up in Flint, I was around all kind of people, going down the path of self-destruction. As I look back on my life so far, I should be either dead or in jail. My dad, he sold cocaine. He did the drugs and everything. And so it's like father, like son. I have the gene, I can do it. I want to, but that's not right.
All of a sudden, from 10 years old, now you're a man in the house. And I know, well, you're only 10 years old, but in a lot of black families, you're the oldest, you are the man of the house. So instead of, running and hiding from that position, he said, well, you know what? I'm going to have to step up. He is very proud of his siblings, and you can see the love. You can see him rocking his baby sister to sleep, staying home to babysit when he needed to be in school. Even his younger sister, who is in middle school, just trying to put her on the right path, doing things that a father would do.
When my mother went back to jail, I took responsibility in my own hands. We had to live with my grandfather, who has custody of us.
Marcus has always been like ahead of his time. Even before, the tragedy happened, I was pretty always been my child dad. I would have to look and say, are you, 7 years old or are you 17?
My mom told me it's not fair because, she should be here doing it, but she's locked up right now because she made a bad decision. It's not fair for me to basically live all my teenage years to be a man. To have my brothers and sisters. I take care of them. Exactly. I have no choice. Me staying in the basement, no biggie, because it's better than staying outside, right? When it all comes down to it, it's going to be better than this. It's getting better than this. So I'm not going to put myself down with my living conditions.
Regardless of my shortcomings, I always try to inspire my kids and, let them know it's very important and when bad things happen or whatever, there's always this thing to look up and live, and just keep going like no matter if life is going to get you down, but it's not getting you down, it's what you do when you get back up.
I think he really wants them to see something different. He doesn't want his family to be a statistic.
Most teenagers in my shoes cannot deal with all of this, but I've always been determined to reach success. Failure is not an option for me. With all the things going on in my life, I still maintain a 3.2 GPA, which could be better if I did not have so many obstacles in my life.
He listens, so he has the right people in his ear telling him things that he needs to hear. He has a support network that other kids don't have. So when you want to give up and you have somebody in your ear telling you not to and showing you the benefits of not giving up, tremendous.
If I would have never met Dr. Emerson, I wouldn't be sitting here. I'd be sitting in the casket.
Marcus knows I will not accept laziness. I won't accept laziness at all. So he was, in my words, he was bull jobbing. So I brought him into the office and I laid him out like I'd never laid a student out. What I told Marcus was, I put out my heart and soul into you, and here you are doing what you're doing now. I said, the energy that I put into you, the passion, my soul, my heart, my everything, my being, and this is what I get for my return. I said, I don't deserve this. And he said, I didn't ask you to be my father. My father's dead. And then I told him, you're right, you didn't, and your father is dead. But here's the beauty, if there is beauty to it, you get to choose what man in your life can step in and be the father that you don't have. I said, if you want it to be me, I will take that on. It was our moment that changed both of our lives.
Mr. Marcus.
Marcus won't fail. Failure has to be defined by the individual. Yeah, this is a kid that arguably shouldn't even graduate high school. I remind Marcus that 1 out of 3 African American males in the state of Michigan graduate. He's beaten that already. 50% of black males make it to prison. He's beaten that. 20% of African Americans get their college degrees. So if he gets it, wow, failure? He's not gonna fail. There's no worry, I sleep well at night now, man.
My greatest fear of going to college would be, am I gonna be that teenager again I never got a chance to be? Am I gonna do things that I'm not supposed to do? Or am I gonna do the right thing?
And I told Marcus, you will never lose that focus and that drive. He said, well, you know what will be my focus? I'm always thinking about my savings. When I think about it, I just get a new focus. He said, I refocus. When I went to college, I didn't have that burden on me. That's a burden. But for him, it's not a burden. It's maybe his destiny. And this is what I have to do.
I see myself as paving the way for my brothers and my sisters to make their road much easier than those for them. They will see with the right attitude and drive they can do anything they want to do. For me, the attitude and drive is to be the first buzz to graduate from college.
So with this Marcus piece, the viewer feedback and a reader's feedback in the paper was absolutely tremendous, like nothing I've ever done before in my 18 or 19 years as a photojournalist. There was a lot of outpouring of support, emails, letters, phone calls, but more importantly, it was really fascinating because people wrote checks, and they sent checks to me. They sent checks to David Jetson, the reporter. They sent checks to Ben, the principal. One woman sent a check for $500 and said, I want this to go to Marcus to use for college tuition, or for college textbooks, I'm sorry. And speaking of tuition, the president of Western Michigan University, Dr. John Dunn, was so moved by the stories that we did on Marcus, he paved the way for Marcus to get a full ride to Western Michigan University. And Marcus currently is in his 2nd semester at Western and doing great. The last deal I did, the 4th one, was following Marcus through the last summer, which was really troubling for him, but also his 1st semester. So, you know you gotta make a promise to have a strong story. The second thing you have to do to strengthen the story is make it focus for them. So in order to make a strong story, use a focus statement. And a focus statement really reminds you the main reason you're telling the story, and it keeps you on the right path. But and the focus is also our roadmap as storytellers, and it's the viewer's roadmap. Without that focus, we get lost and we go off in different directions with shooting and editing. But the viewers get lost, and guess what? They stop watching. So finding the right focus really fine-tunes things for you, and it can really surprise viewers with something many didn't know about.
I was a kid, about 16, and when the Marine Corps opened up for what they call colored people, I decided I wanted to be a Marine. Martha Point was a camp set aside and established for African Americans when they first opened the door to go into the Marine Corps. It was at Camp Lejeune. At that time, everything was segregated.
Growing up in Milwaukee, I didn't know about separate water fountains, riding in the back of the bus. I just didn't know that this was going on.
They were trying to tell me that I couldn't sit on a certain place on the bus. And then you start thinking about now you want to fight for this country to do where you can have segregation, and which I think was wrong.
Some of the guys talk about discrimination back home, and my thought was that by us fighting for the country, when we got back home, that things would be better. Then when we got back to Michigan, I went to a restaurant. It was like a drugstore. Woodward and Willis. It's not there now. And I went in to buy something. And the clerk in the store was a lady. She told me, says that your money don't spend here. She would not serve me simply because I was a black man. And that was a disrespect for me and the country because I was in uniform, but she didn't care.
You were just as good as anybody else. General Scully was treat people like you want to be treated. And then you will be treated right. But don't run over nobody, don't let nobody run over you. Be a man. And that's what I tried to be, a man.
Will I be proud of Congress recognizing the Black Marines, Mounted Marines? I sure will be, because it's a source of pride for all of us to know that finally people are beginning to know about us and about some of the things that we did during World War II and some of the other wars.
Well, we did a lot of leading and directing and fighting over there to help the United States become a better country. And also to treat the black man a different way, more respectable and so forth. He was a man, and he was supposed to be treated as a man. And I think the Marines helped that a whole lot.
And just going to be able to sit down and talk to my grandchildren about it. These things are going to be taught to them. When they read the history books, they will say, my grandfather was there. And this is a source of pride for me.
I feel that I've been a successful life. Part of that, I think, is the Marine Corps, because of the Marine Corps. And I salute.
A picture, to me, means a reminder of the past. Things that you would like to remember about yesterday and beyond.
Last summer, casual day to have lunch, a gentleman approached me and said, I see you wearing a Buffalo Soldier shirt. That is a real smile. So he said, well, I happen to have inherited some stuff from my grandfather who passed several years ago. And there's some photos of some black soldiers. And I was wondering if there's something you'd be interested in. And I said, sure, yes, I would. Came home and I looked at them, they were really interesting photos. Like 95 pictures of all of these guys, the induction and training and the transition to the war in the South Pacific. There it was, Mumford Point Marines, who were the first black Marines into the service.
Oh, I went around this thing at a lot of times because I could never remember my hat.
I like to see their faces, looking over these pictures and moving on and reflecting back on that.
It is quite a treat, yes, yes. It's good to have these memories brought back.
I didn't write. I sold all mine and sent the money home.
Yeah, two cans of beer. How often you got this?
We got four. We got 4 cans of beer while there was 6 or 7 weeks.
Oh, yeah, we got two. I don't know, I think I gave mine away or something. I don't know. That's Blue Ribbon. That's Blue Ribbon. I remember that walking. We have
was necessary for this story to be told rather than something just to be sold. And I want this story to get out.
You see, this guy holding his head up.
The segregation was terrible, but these guys endured it, persevered, and came out, war heroes. They were determined to be the best they could be, and that their country could be proud of them. Oh boy.
Uh-oh.
Oh boy. This looks familiar. This guy is the epitome of the drill sergeant.
We call him Ashmark Johnson.
His toughness against them wasn't personal,
I thought it was me,
it was business.
but I'll tell you what, he was the most feared person on that base. If somebody told you that Ashmark wanted to see you, you were in trouble.
That is the greatest thing to say. I've endured all the training, all the tests, and now I have the honor of saying I am a Marine, that their country could be proud of them, and no one could ever take this away from them.
Nobody was ever able to know what was going on with the Black Marines. I was concerned about that. I'm glad to see these things happen for us because this will open a lot of eyes. And at the same time, will stop us from being forgotten. Ignored, right. That's all. I don't know where this is. We wouldn't have conversations.
To hear these guys talk about now that they can look back on it in the frail voices, trembling voices, and they can say, I can look back at this and be proud. And when I saw this 86-year-old man just salute that he was proud of this Marine, it wasn't as crisp as it would have been had he in his younger years, but it was still there. The mindset, the determination, the values and all that was still in these guys from what they endured and through.
Okay, this is a hard part for me, so forgive me if I seem a little emotional. But this part, not this, the next slide. So with this one here, one point, the guy from Tennessee, Julian Singleton, he had all those pictures, and at first I thought, when I was able to contact him, I had asked him, can you FedEx these pictures up? And he was kind of reluctant to do it because they were precious to him, and because, he had gotten them from this other guy in that story that you saw. And so I talked with a reporter that I was working with on this video, and we decided to drive down to Clarksville, Tennessee, near Nashville, and to interview them and do this story about these pictures and connect them back to the Monroe Point Marines in Detroit. So, cut to the chase, I took a flatbed scanner and I scanned 80 prints and 80 black and white prints, and then when I got back to Detroit, I made 80 8x12 prints at Costco, and then I spent half a day in our studio and I built this set with black velour king-size blankets, and so I didn't want pictures to just be on the screen and just, the Ken Burns effect or whatever. I wanted something a little more elegant and a little more classic, and so I went with this routine, and then I went to Home Depot and bought several vintage bulbs to kind of make it look that old look. Okay. So, so they're trailblazers, and they were given congressional gold medals in Washington, D.C. last summer for their service and sacrifice in the face of racism. And once in a while, as you can tell, you work on a story that affects you. I knew all about Tuskegee Airmen, Buffalo Soldiers, but I never heard of these guys. And so the whole time, I was in awe of them. I mean, I'm sitting there working with men of history. How many of us in this profession can say that you're working with legends? And they're all in the early 90s now, and they're fading away fast, but their history never will. And 2 months ago, I attended the funeral. I swear I wouldn't do that. I attended the funeral of Mr. Earlwood to right here. And 5 days ago, I wasn't able to attend, but thank you. 5 days ago, Mr. Cook was laid to rest. Sadly, there will be no more funerals, or there will be more funerals, and of these men of history. Okay, I got past that. How do you find this focus that I was talking about earlier? Well, you build in time to get to know and understand your character before you start shooting. You gotta convince your newspaper to let you go there without your camera, do a pre-interview. Study the person that you're doing a story on. Get to know their routine, their personality, all those kind of things. Ask, anticipate, and adjust to who they are, to what they do, and why they're important, why you were doing the story in the first place. And it's really amazing what you're going to see when you do those things. And the goal of the story that you want to do is right there. That's your focus. Find the one thing, or maybe two, that's really rich, and what gives that story energy, and that is what you show.
I'm going to hook you up, baby. Oh, I'm not going to make you that, baby. Yeah! We're going to rock sure down. All right, baby. We're going to get right here. Here you go. Now we're going to put on the ham, cheese, turkey, tomato, onions. Now, if you don't like it, you just holler at me. We're going to hook it up. Yeah, because you put the love, baby.
Get your first one, you can't get it cut in half, though. You have to take the whole thing down, not cut in half.
Last time, he didn't cut it in half, and my genitals got stuck open from trying to bite into this massive sandwich.
I'm gonna try to make it my whole lunch, but hopefully, if I can, I will eat it all.
I'm going to make sure that every sandwich is handmade, fresh, every day. Well, Subway's are fine, but, you know, Ernie's is Ernie's. Baby, what can I get you? I tell people, if you don't like it, tell me, I'll give you money back. It's not about money.
I think the store is more about community, and everybody that comes in here is part of a big family.
Hey!
We treat everybody like we've known them for years, even if it was the first time they walked in the door.
Oh man, I've been coming to Ernest for about 10 years. I make sure Ernest have fresh onion rolls, fresh rye bread for his sandwiches. Oh yeah.
I think Ernie's is a great piece of Americana. You know, it's a wonderful example of what somebody can do if they really want to just create a business for themselves.
I'm trying to change the world one person at a time with the sandwich. Thanks, baby. We love you guys. We love you, baby. Be careful.
You'll be back. No, that came out.
So, if you're from Michigan, if you ever visit places in Oak Park, Michigan, a suburb of Detroit, a great sandwich. So with Ernie, like I was telling you, I went at lunchtime the day before I shot this, and I literally, without my camera, I just sat in the corner, watched him, I watched Tanya, the sandwich maker, I watched the customers, I just watched everything and really soaked in and absorbed that. And it's great to work at the Free Press because they allow us to do that, because it does pay off. I studied his interaction with customers, his personality, and I took mental notes to key in on. But I also kept an open mind. I wasn't locked in to doing a certain thing, because you always have to keep your mind open for and adjust to things. So you have to make a promise, and you have to make it focused. Now the third thing, what do you need to do to strengthen the story? Make them care, make them emotional. So as you can tell, we're all full of emotions. And it's okay to be emotionally invested in a story. I think it's really important and it helps. Hold the viewer still with the emotion that you're feeling and that you're going through, and that they're feeling and they're going through, and with that wonderment. But be real about it as well. Take the emotions that you have that you're feeling when you're shooting or you're editing, and harness them and tune them into those things. And it's really important to strike a chord deep inside viewers. And I promise you, they're going to stay with you to the end of your video. Make a connection. Find a common thread that we all share as people, even if it's dealing with the loss of someone special who died too young.
There's probably not a day that I walk in that I'll think about Wes.
At the moment I was going with Wes, I was just so happy we won. I couldn't believe it. It all just changed.
It's a story that has touched the hearts of the nation. The death of 16-year-old Wes Leonard.
The game didn't matter anymore.
You know, I was hoping he was all right. I was hoping he would get up soon. It's shock. Why Wes? And that's our answer. Yeah, you got tears. It's tough. It's tough. You hurt for Wes and his family, and you hurt for the kids.
Leonard was buried Tuesday, and life will never be the same for kids who have lived through this.
The love that he showed it to those who we met at school and on the courts and the fields. And I now know that he loves heaven.
He's a hell of a kid. Hell of a kid.
Sprinkle in the ashes all the tangible remains of our dear one. Thank God for all the intangibles, the impact of his life on ours. We remember his smile, his quizzical look, the love of all those endearing traits of him that made him so great. He will never be forgotten. For that matter, I thought those were things we had to remember.
I was like this almost all the way through the game. The ups, the downs. These boys were on a mission to win that game for us.
We're playing 6 out of 5 because we can tell that he's there. Like, a loose ball, something goes our way. Like, so thanks for playing. You know.
I'm praying. I'm clenching my teeth. I'm hoarse because I was yelling and they were going to get it done.
I knew the Runners were going to be in them games. I wish they would have stayed home and collected themselves, but I knew they'd be in them games. There to support them boys.
You prayed for them, and then the same thing. You're amazed that they're so strong to be there, just to be there to watch.
I know they wanted to win the district championship for us.
When Mitchell was presented with the trophy, I thought that there was no better ending than that.
When he walked up there and got it, it was really good because we knew if Wes was there, we would have done him. Holding him.
I'm glad he's here. These guys have wanted him around all week, and I thought that was just something that he deserved, and the Leonard family deserved.
Emotional moment.
You know, it's just kind of a warm feeling. That's just how this town came together, and it was pretty incredible.
Town's been really supportive, and it's been great having such a tight group of people, like, always there for you, and it'd been harder without them.
Everybody, this whole community has been so supportive and so strong through all of this.
I just stand down in my driveway, and I just pretty much want to just got to stand and go like this, because you stand in the driveway and there's 30 cars go by, and 25 of them honking the horn to say hello. So it's almost sometimes a little nerve-wracking. You're trying to get something done in the yard, but you got to keep going. And that's kind of community.
Well, Chris, this is going to be a very different situation for the Fenville team. Last week they played 3 games at Hope College. It's a gym that Fenville has never played in, at least not recently, and it's not going to be nearly as smooth of a situation as it has been in the past years.
It's been nice to have basketball as a thing to keep your mind off and stuff. But if anybody again tomorrow will be, I guess, thank you all
all the time. They need the strength that they've had in the past. They'll find a way to deal with it again. I think that's going to be the toughest part is you got to kind of deal with everything all over again. Now that basketball's over. I don't know when it will hit me. So until it does, I'll just keep kind of plugging along. But I know I have a lot of support from whether it's people at school, people in the community, people at home college, people from wherever. When it's time, I'll figure out what I have to do.
What anyone can learn from this, whether it's someone that was born out here in the country, born and raised, or if you have been in a big city all your life. The one thing that I hope everybody can learn from this is you never know when it might be your kid laying out there that's not getting up, and you hug them and love them every day, and just embrace them every single day, because, yeah, life can be short.
Like the t-shirt said, he will never be forgotten, he won't be.
Okay, so this happened 2 years ago at the west side of Michigan. The second video that I'm not going to show because of time deals with his mom, Jocelyn. And the tragedy is that Wes would have lived if the battery and the AED machine that they frantically tried to find, but it was in a closet, and by the time they got to him, it was too late. But it was too late, but the battery was not charged. So the second video deals with her crusade with the West Literate Heart Team, and her goal is to put an AED in every high school gym in the state of Michigan. So really quick before I move on to the next thing, you know, if subjects that you're interviewing, if they're not saying interesting things, the chances are you're asking the right questions. So how did I do it on this? Well, I really asked my questions as a parent. I have a 13 and an 8-year-old. And so I really felt when the tragedy happened to Wes and died on the basketball court, I had a connection to that in a way because I have a child, although he's not in high school, or 2 kids not in high school, it's still, there's a connection there. And so my questions really came from the heart, and there were times when I teared up and they teared up, and we had a connection because we shared something. And so my questions were real and genuine, and their answers were as well, as you can tell. And just a little interviewing trick, when you're interviewing somebody with video, I found it really easy and better to sit on the floor next to your tripod and have that person sitting looking down on you a little bit. And it's the reason is because it makes them psychologically feel like they're in control. Because if you're doing a video with 2 or 3 camera shoots and you know 1 light or 5 lights or whatever, it's overwhelming for the person. So make them as easy as possible by making them feel like they have the power when they actually don't, and that actually helps. All right, the second point of 4 in my presentation is be passionate, be hungry about wanting to learn more. Be on the constant search for growth. Really immerse yourself, read books on filmmaking, watch lots of docs, go on Google, YouTube, and there's just so much out there. And then when you're watching these movies or these docs, think about how is the director or the cinematographer, how are they using visuals in the story and good editing to keep you hooked. And also try to seek out those who are better than you for advice and critiques. And really important to find people out there who do what you do, who set the bar really high, and then try to reach for that bar. For me, I really love ESPN 30 for 30 pieces and the stories they do on E60. Everything that they do, from the storytelling to the visuals, the lighting, and even the editing, it's all done so well. And I reached out to a couple of the directors and the producers. I friended them on Facebook, I followed them on Twitter, and I emailed them. I just said, hey, you know, I'm relatively new at this. Can you look at some of my videos and critique and look at it from time to time? And to my surprise, they started doing it. And they've been doing that for the past 1.5 years, and it's been wonderful. Now I get my ass torn to pieces, but because they're so critical of my work, but it's good pain because I'm loving it and I'm learning and growing so much from their advice and their words of encouragement. What I'm telling you, and this is what I believe, is don't tell me my strengths, show me my weaknesses. Always try to, like I said before, always try to find people who are much better than you, who set the bar high, and that gives you a goal to reach for. The third point of my presentation is go viral and get the time. And this is really important. Saying that I'm done when you edited and turned in your stills or your video isn't good enough. Don't have that mindset. Always be proactive about your work and push your work out there. Be your own visual advocate because no one else is going to do it for you. And also help the numbers with your newspaper's website because in this industry, all of us are on shaky ground. So do what you can. Even if it might be just a little bit, just do it because take pride in what you do. Your editors are going to notice that extra effort that you're giving and that extra mile that you're doing, and it might pay off. So just try it. These are some ways that I do it. On Facebook, when I'm doing videos, either a short feature or a long project, I grab 3 or 4 pictures, put them on Facebook, and do a short little write-up, and then I take the link and embed it in the comments section. And so when people see the pictures and they click through them or whatever, they can actually play the video right there. And Facebook doesn't get the hits, the Detroit Free Press gets the hit. So it makes it easier for the person not have to copy and paste the link and go to the Free Press. They can do it right there. And that's a good way to get hits. I also use Instagram a lot because it's a wonderful, wonderful tool to use and put pictures on there and put links. And just to go off topic for a little bit, since there's a lot of college students in there, I just wanted to say, be careful what you post on Facebook and Twitter, because there's potential employees out there, or employers out there, and they're either always watching, or they'll look back at your posting history. And believe me, I've seen a lot from people that I've mentored or things like that. I've seen people post about how drunk they were the night before at a party, using F-bombs, all kinds of swear words, sexual language or pictures, things like that. And I really just shake my head sometimes. When you do that kind of stuff, you really shoot yourself in the foot. So just want to say that. Editors need to know a good video storytelling takes time. The working theory is for every minute produced, it takes 12 to 14 hours in sitting at a computer working on it in Final Cut or Premiere or whatever you use. Now, if you go back and tell editors that, they're going to freak out. So tell them, so put it in context with the type of video that you're doing. Use your news judgment. Know that there's a difference between it is what it is video piece and something of substance. By that I mean, if you had to go shoot a car wreck, don't spend forever working on it. Spend that time working on a story that has a little bit more meaning than just a car crash. So use your news judgment. Another thing is know your metrics. By metrics, if you don't know, metrics is know about your website and the clicks that you get, things like that. If you show your editors that you're interested in helping build page views, like I said, you might get more time to do video. I use Diptych for a lot of my pieces, and it's a good app for the iPhone. And I'll pull 3 or 4 pictures, and then I'll write a little caption, and I hashtag it to death, and then I put on there the link, and I hope that people that follow me on Instagram will copy and paste that link and go to freak.com and watch the video. Does it work? I don't know, but why not try? It doesn't take that long. This is a screen grab from the next short video I'm going to show you. It was the most watched video at Freak.com in 2012 with over 300,000 individual views. And since we started our website in 05-06, it's been the most watched ever.
I call him Godzilla. Because
this has been going on for about a month, and when Edna first told me about it, I didn't think that it was really that serious until she kept calling me, telling me that this bird was not letting her get out of the house and it was jumping on her, so I came work, and when I saw what was going on, I started to videotape it, and I discovered that he's very aggressive right now. He has even jumped on me when I was taking still shots, and I was down on one knee and knocked the camera right out of my hands.
At 7 o'clock in the morning, he comes and babysits my car, and I can't get in it. And he even chases me up to the front door.
Beautiful, majestic bird. This bird, I can't fault it for what it does, but I don't want Eddie to be prisoner of a wild turkey on her own property.
Well, I would not like turkey for dinner. I would like to have him taken away and have that done. And that because he isn't going to stop.
So a little history about Godzilla. It was on a Friday. I was almost home, and I get a call from our deputy director of photography, Sean Roker. He says, "Eric, there's a wild turkey near your house, and it's terrorizing this woman. Can you just go shoot a quick clip?" And by quick clip, if you know, a quick clip is just 30, 45 seconds of the turkey moving around. And I was like, yeah, I'll go check it out. And so I get there, and I meet Rick, and I meet Edna, and just I heard the story, I was watching, and I was like, wow, this is something amazing. This could be something special or fun, and get laughs out of people. So I called work. I said, hey, you know what? I think this doesn't deserve a quick clip. You know, I was talking a second ago about news judgment. It is what it is piece versus something of substance. Now, this is in between. This isn't something of substance because it's just a turkey that chases a woman. But it's also not, it is what it is. It's in between. So I told them that, and they were great. They trust me. They trust my news judgment, and they held the story in the video until Sunday. So I went, so just for, when the first time you see the turkey, or when he's attacking my camera, he's literally attacking a GoPro. And he scratched the lens part. But I had a pole, and because you don't want to get too close to Godzilla. But so anyway, it was that quick clip, and it went viral all over the place, all over the world. It ran on TV stations around the country, around the world. It ran on Good Morning America, CNN, MSNBC, and the following Saturday, my wife and I are on the couch watching Saturday Night Live, and this happened.
She is being terrorized by a 25-pound wild turkey that bumps and claws at her whenever she leaves her home, and sometimes it just sits across the street in the car watching her.
So when we saw that, clearly it was just on the floor rolling. I thought it was hilarious. just like wow, you know. So the last point that I wanted to make is good gear is good. You have a small budget at your paper, be sure to improvise. Research, go online, build, and do what you need to visually help the look and feel of your video. There's tons and tons of do-it-yourself sites out there. I have a lot of them bookmarked. Build it yourself, do it yourself. It saves money, and it's fun in a way if you like building and experimenting. Remember, the Home Depot is your friend. Just like I said, improvise. I went for the Marine piece, the 2 videos I did. I went to Target and bought 2 king-size black floor blankets for about $25 each, and I had clamps already from Home Depot, and I used that as the background, and it really soaked in the light when I had, I think I used like 3 or 4 cameras and 5 lights for this interview, and it really helped. And these blankets I still have rolled up in bags, and I pull them out. So improvise and just try different things. Another thing is a slider. If you remember in the Mumford piece, when the set that I built in our studio, as the camera was moving in, that 3D look like that was done with the slider on the tripod. And this slider I built for $220. It's called the Zaza slider. I found it on a message board that I go on for do-it-yourself things. And the site showed me how to buy the parts, how to machine the parts, and build it. And like I said, I built it for like $220 a couple years ago. And it's a real fantastic tool to have. It makes some of your pieces cinematic in a way. And it's very durable, great quality, and it's not as expensive as some other sliders out there like Cinovate and Kessler. Those are $800 to $1,000 or $1,200. So like I said, this was $220, saved the paper a bunch of money, and honestly, they wouldn't have bought this innovative accessory for me. It's way too much. So the last thing I wanted to mention is GoPro. I've been using GoPros for about 3 years, and every once in a while they send me things to look at and experiment with and play with, and just give them feedback on. GoPros don't make your story better, but they do add a visual hook to your piece. And GoPros are like my favorite candy. Like my favorite candy is Sour Patch Kids. Okay? But if you eat too many Sour Patch Kids or use too much GoPro, it's going to make you sick. It's going to make your viewers sick. So don't have your viewers OD on GoPro. Know to use the GoPro in the right place for the right amount of time and for the right impact. Do it in moderation. And the reason why is if you want to give your viewers an experience to get them excited, even if it's about grown men acting like kids.
With 170 some entries, the races keep getting bigger. It's headed in the right direction, and we love to see that. One word to describe RC car racing, I would have to say adrenaline.
It's challenging.
I would say suspicious.
We came up with this idea just because you're always bored, you don't want to sit around. How do you get out and do something? And I had a garden, but man, I don't even like eating vegetables, so it just grew every year.
This is a more motocross style track. It's bumpy, the jumps are bigger, it's got a lot more natural terrain.
These are especially made for racing. RC cars like a Toys R Us or Radio Shack, that's like driving the Maserati against an Escort.
When you have a vehicle that's capable of doing 60 miles an hour and you can launch it 40, 50 feet through the air and not know for sure where it's going to land or where it's going to end up,
you hold your breath. Big jump is big breath, and then okay, I landed great, just push it again.
sometimes if you hit a jump sideways, you're flying off the track and it's slipping and you just hope that it doesn't break when that happens. At times we feel like kids, that's why we do it because we enjoy it, and it's obviously fun.
The great thing about this is that you learn how to work on your car, and it gives you confidence in how to work on your real car. I never changed my own.
We all want to win, but at the end of the day, as long as it's one of us, it's okay.
So for that RC car piece, I used Panasonic, I used my Canon 5D Mark II, and then I used GoPros for some of the really tight stuff. I got about 9 more minutes, so I have one more GoPro. It's really short. But GoPros was fantastic, and not because they give me stuff for free. So the next one is something that was pretty amazing, and these 2 GoPros I used in this next piece, I bought with my own money. The paper didn't want to buy it at this point, and so I just said, screw it, I'll buy it myself. So I bought 2 of them, and I took a risk with this because these 2 GoPros went pretty high up in the air.
Ever since I was a kid, I always wanted to be an astronaut, but unfortunately for me, I have a bit of a motion sickness problem. So the next best thing that I wanted to move forward with was be able to work on things that astronauts use, or work on other things that are able to go into space.
At the University of Michigan, students launch instruments into near space on weather balloons for scientific study.
If we give them more experience in building satellites, if we let them play with things, where if it breaks, it only costs us $600 as opposed to, $1 billion or something. It disintegrated and all of our packages fell from about 600 to 800 feet and hit the ground dramatically.
I was thinking, man, what kind of a project manager am I, and letting this happen?
And we said, you know what? We're going to make the best of this. We're not going to come out here for nothing. We have a spare balloon. We're going to do something with it.
And so we just grabbed a new balloon, we grabbed some more helium, we filled it up, we sprung it out, and we let it go. Get set, go!
On the way up, with a payload of cameras and instruments, it reached 97,000 feet.
That is about 3 times as high as a jet flies, 4 times as high as Mount Everest.
Going through the jet stream, the ride got a little bumpy.
typically these videos make you want to throw up. You just spinning in circles.
Everybody's seen the famous NASA picture of the whole globe. I think that's really cool, but there's really something about building the whole balloon, putting the cameras on it, and actually seeing the video that you produced. You know, we sent something to the edge of space.
When you can see the edge of space, it's the coolest feeling in the world.
I mean, yeah, the video quality wasn't the best. We had some condensation issues, but still, I mean, that's something that we created.
What goes up must come down, but sometimes finding and retrieving it isn't always easy.
Sometimes it can be quite chaotic. The signals are coming down from the balloon. You stop the car, you look up in the air, you see on the maps where you are, where the balloon is, and you basically either try to stay underneath the balloon or you try to get a little bit ahead of the balloon.
But the landing didn't go exactly as planned.
So we went and walked through fields, and then through woods, and then fields again.
We had to look like a Blair Witch Project out there.
And we finally came to it, and it was about 2 feet up in the tree. We tried to figure out how to get it down.
We tried throwing stuff at it, trying to poke it with sticks.
Holding a 40-foot long tree, basically up in the air, and just
Sometimes I feel a little bit glad that there weren't many other people out there to see me look a little bit ridiculous.
Because I really didn't want to let the tree down. And so when it fell down, I thought, we got the package back. We actually plant trees at our house all the time, so we'll plant an extra tree.
Even if this specific project doesn't yield results, it yields results in us, in the people working on it, because we are the future. We're on the road of improvement. We're doing things to better ourselves.
So be sure to buy these raffles, because this is a GoPro that you can launch at the edge of space as well. And if you do launch a GoPro at the edge of space, I recommend getting hand warmers to put into a case that you would build, because if you notice there was some condensation and there was a yellow little string that came through, but when you're up there, you're at the will of space, or near space of jet stream. So for me, video storytelling is a really big learning curve. I fail often. I slip down this mountain a lot. But I think I succeed, not because I look down to see how far I've come since 2008, but because I look up and see how far I have to go, and that really, really excites me. I saw this on Twitter. It's a letter that Apple puts on the desks of its employees on their first day of the job at their headquarters in California. And you can read it to yourself, but I'll tell you the part that I got out of it. People don't come here to play it safe. They come here to swim in the deep end. They want their work to add up to something. And I think that should be our attitude every day when we roll out of bed and we head off to the job we love. Jump in that deep end. I'm a big, big believer in helping each other out, because I think we need to be here for each other. So here's all my info. Feel free to connect with me, and let's get better at this stuff, okay? And thank you.